When a Savannah society heiress finds herself trapped in an arranged marriage to secure her family's legacy, she never expects to fall for the landscape architect redesigning her gardens. Lillian Barrington has lived her entire life according to other people's plans, but when she meets Noah Chambers, she discovers what it truly means to follow her heart. As wedding bells approach and family pressure mounts, she must choose between the gilded cage of privilege and a love that defies every rule of Southern society. This is a story of courage, sacrifice, and the breathtaking moment when a woman finds the strength to run toward her true destiny. Before we start this story, comment below from where you're watching us. The sun shone brightly over the sprawling Barrington estate, where generations of Savannah's elite had lived and thrived. Lillian Barrington stood at her bedroom window, watching the gardeners work in the distance. At 25, she was the pride of Savannah society, beautiful, well-educated, and engaged to Clayton Aldridge, the most eligible bachelor in 3 counties. "Lillian, dear, the wedding planner is here," her mother Eleanor called from downstairs. Lillian sighed, tucking a strand of blonde hair behind her ear. "Coming, mother." She took one last look outside, her eyes drawn to a tall figure directing the landscaping crew. Noah Chambers, the new landscape architect her father had hired to redesign the gardens before her wedding. A wedding that was now just 3 months away. Downstairs, Eleanor Barrington sat with Marjorie Wells, Savannah's most sought-after wedding planner. The dining room table was covered with fabric swatches, flower arrangements, and seating charts. "There she is," Eleanor said as Lillian entered. "Honestly, Lillian, I don't know where your head is these days. This is the wedding of the decade. 400 guests, the governor, 2 senators, and photographers from every major magazine." "Sorry, Mother. I was just getting some air." Marjorie smiled. "No worries, dear. Every bride gets pre-wedding jitters. Now, about the cathedral. I've arranged for 5,000 white roses to line the aisle." Lillian nodded, barely listening as the women discussed flowers, music, and table settings. Her engagement to Clayton had been arranged practically since childhood. The Barringtons and the Aldridges, 2 of the oldest families in Georgia. It was a perfect match on paper. "Lillian, are you listening?" her mother snapped. Marjorie asked about the bridal shower guest list. "Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, whatever you think is best." Eleanor frowned. "I swear, that girl is in another world. The French designer arrives next week for your final gown fitting. Please try to focus." After the meeting, Lillian escaped to the gardens. The May heat was building, but a gentle breeze made it bearable. She wandered toward the greenhouse, where she knew the landscaping crew was working. Noah Chambers stood over a large drawing, pointing and giving instructions to his team. At 30, he had built a reputation as one of the best landscape architects in the South, despite the barriers his race presented in their conservative community. When he looked up and saw Lillian approaching, his professional expression softened slightly. "Miss Barrington, good afternoon." "Mr. Chambers, how is the new rose garden coming along?" "On schedule. Would you like to see the designs?" "I would, thank you." Inside the greenhouse, away from prying eyes, Noah spread the drawings on a workbench. Lillian stood close, breathing in his scent, earth and pine, and something uniquely him. "These old varieties here will frame the gazebo," he explained, his finger tracing the drawing. "Your mother requested white roses for the wedding, but I thought you might appreciate some color too." Lillian smiled. "You remembered I like pink roses. I pay attention." Their eyes met briefly before he looked away. "To all my clients' preferences, of course." "Of course." Lillian's phone buzzed. A text from Clayton. "I should go." That night, the Barringtons hosted a dinner for Clayton's parents. Clayton sat beside Lillian, his hand occasionally resting on hers, a gesture that felt more possessive than affectionate. "The campaign is going well," Clayton told the table. "The polls show I'm leading for the state Senate seat." As expected, Richard Barrington, Lillian's father, said proudly. "A year in the state Senate, then Congress, and who knows? The governor's mansion isn't out of reach." Clayton smiled, squeezing Lillian's hand. "And I'll have the perfect political wife by my side." Lillian forced a smile. At 32, Clayton was handsome, ambitious, and from the right family. He checked every box on her parents' list. But in the year they'd been engaged, she'd never felt that spark, the one her grandmother had told her about before she passed. When it's right, Lily, you'll know. Your heart will beat so loud you'll think everyone can hear it. Later that week, Lillian found herself back in the greenhouse. Noah was alone, working late. "Miss Barrington, can I help you with something? Please call me Lillian when no one's around. Miss Barrington makes me feel like my mother." He hesitated. That wouldn't be appropriate. Nothing about my life feels appropriate lately. She wandered among the plants. "Do you ever feel trapped, Noah? Like your whole life was decided before you had a say?" He put down his tools. "I've faced different challenges than you have. But yes, I understand feeling like you don't control your own life. How did you become a landscape architect? It's unusual. For a black man in the South?" He finished with a small smile. "My grandfather was a gardener for a family like yours. He taught me everything about plants. I worked my way through college, got my degree, and started my company 5 years ago. That's impressive. It wasn't easy. Some clients still won't hire me. Your father took a chance. My father cares about quality work. And these gardens have never looked better." They talked for an hour about plants, their childhoods, books they'd read. For the first time in months, Lillian felt like she could breathe. As weeks passed, Lillian found more excuses to visit the gardens. Sometimes she brought Noah lemonade. Other times, she asked detailed questions about the landscaping plans. Their conversations grew longer, more personal. One evening, they sat on a stone bench behind the greenhouse, hidden from the main house. "Why Clayton?" Noah asked suddenly. "If you don't mind me asking." Lillian sighed. "Our families have known each other forever. He's handsome, successful. My parents adore him. But do you love him?" The question hung in the air. "I'm trying to," she whispered. Noah looked away. "You deserve more than that, Lillian. Sometimes we don't get what we deserve. We get what's expected." The following day, Clayton visited to discuss wedding details. He found Lillian in the garden, sketching. "There's my beautiful fiancé," he said, kissing her cheek. "Working on your art." Lillian quickly closed her sketchbook, which contained several drawings of Noah. "Just passing time." Clayton sat beside her. "I've been so busy with the campaign, I feel like I've neglected you." "It's fine. I know you're busy. Things will calm down after the election. And the wedding, of course." He checked his watch. "Speaking of which, I need to get to a fundraiser. The photographer from Southern Living is coming tomorrow for our engagement shoot. With a blue dress, it brings out your eyes." After he left, Lillian opened her sketchbook again. The drawing showed Noah leaning over his plans, concentration on his face. She traced the lines with her finger, feeling a flutter in her chest. The next morning, as the photographer set up on the lawn, Lillian spotted Noah working nearby. She wore the blue dress Clayton had requested, her hair and makeup professionally done. "Let's try some by the new rose trellis," the photographer suggested. As they posed, Clayton's arm around her waist, Lillian caught Noah watching. Their eyes met briefly before he turned away. The photo session dragged on for hours. "Now show me the love, darlings," the photographer called. "Clayton, look at Lillian like she's your world." Clayton performed perfectly, gazing at her with practiced adoration. Lillian tried to mirror his expression, but her eyes kept drifting to where Noah worked. That night, unable to sleep, Lillian slipped out to the gardens. The humidity hung heavy in the air, fireflies blinking in the darkness. She was surprised to find Noah in the greenhouse, working late again. "Couldn't sleep?" he asked when she appeared in the doorway. "Too much on my mind." They walked together through the moonlit garden, talking softly about everything and nothing. When they reached the small pond at the far end of the property, Lillian stopped. "I saw you watching today during the photo shoot." Noah looked away. "I shouldn't have." "Why not?" "Because when I look at you, I can't hide what I feel." He took a step back. "And that's dangerous for both of us." "What if I feel it too?" Lillian whispered. The air between them charged with electricity. Noah moved closer, then stopped himself. "You're engaged, Lillian, to a man your family approves of. A man with a bright future. A man I don't love." Noah's resolve visibly wavered. "Don't say that. It's true. I've tried to love him, but I can't." Her voice broke. "Because every time I'm with you, I feel what's been missing. In the silver moonlight, Noah reached for her hand. Their fingers intertwined, and the simple touch sent sparks through Lillian's body. "This can't happen," he said, even as he drew her closer. "I know," but she didn't pull away. When their lips finally met, Lillian felt what her grandmother had described. Her heart beating so loudly she was sure Noah could hear it. The kiss deepened, his arms encircling her waist as hers wrapped around his neck. When they broke apart, breathless, reality crashed back. "I'm engaged," she whispered, "to someone else." Noah stepped back, running a hand over his face. "This was a mistake. If anyone saw us—" "I know." Tears filled her eyes. "You could lose your job, or worse. It's not just that." He took her hands. "You have a life planned out. A good life. I can't offer you what he can. What if I don't want what he's offering?" Noah shook his head. "Lillian, you need to think about this. Really think. Your family, your position in society. You'd risk losing everything. What if you're worth it?" "Don't say that. Not yet." He kissed her forehead. "Go back to the house. Think about what you really want." For the next 2 weeks, Lillian avoided the gardens. She threw herself into wedding preparations, attended fittings for her custom French gown, and smiled through countless engagement parties. But at night, she dreamed of Noah. One afternoon, Clayton took her to lunch at Savannah's most exclusive restaurant. He barely looked up from his phone, too busy with campaign emails. "Sorry, sweetheart. The election's in 2 months, right before our wedding. It's crunch time." "It's fine," Lillian said automatically. Clayton finally put his phone down. "My mother mentioned you've seemed distracted lately. Is everything all right with the wedding plans?" "Everything's on track." "Good." He reached across the table for her hand. "Because you know how important this is. Our marriage will secure my political future. The voters love a family man, and you're exactly the kind of wife a future governor needs. Beautiful, well-bred, and discreet." Lillian stared at him. "Is that all I am to you? A political asset?" Clayton looked surprised. "Of course not. You're also the mother of my future children. The Aldridge name needs to continue." She pulled her hand away. "And what about love, Clayton? Do you love me?" "Love?" He laughed softly. "Lillian, we're adults. Our parents arranged a beneficial match. Love might develop in time, but that's not why we're getting married." In that moment, everything became crystal clear. She couldn't marry this man. The next day, Lillian found Noah in the rose garden. "I need to talk to you." His face remained professionally neutral, aware of the other workers nearby. "Of course, Miss Barrington. Let's go to the greenhouse to discuss the flower arrangements." Once they were alone, his expression softened. "I've missed you. I've missed you too. And I've been thinking about everything. And I can't marry Clayton. I don't love him, and he doesn't love me. We're getting married because it's convenient, because it's what our families want." Noah's eyes filled with hope, then doubt. "Lillian, you need to be sure. The consequences. I know the consequences. I've thought about nothing else." She took his hands. "But I also know that I'm falling in love with you. And that terrifies me because it changes everything." Noah pulled her close, pressing his forehead to hers. "I'm falling in love with you too. But, no buts. Not now." She kissed him softly. "I just needed you to know." For the next month, they met in secret, stolen moments in the greenhouse, whispered conversations among the roses, moonlit walks when everyone else was asleep. With each meeting, their love deepened. One night, sheltered by the magnolia trees, Noah held her close. "What are we doing, Lillian? Your wedding is 6 weeks away. I'm going to break it off. I have to. And then what? Your family will never accept me. I don't care. We'll figure it out." He touched her cheek. "I can't let you throw away your life. A life without you isn't the life I want." The following week, Lillian sat down with her parents, determined to tell them the truth. But before she could speak, her father made an announcement. "Clayton's opponent has been gaining in the polls. We need to move up the wedding. A big society wedding right before the election will generate the perfect press. Move it up to when?" 2 weeks from Saturday. Lillian felt the room spin. "That's impossible. The cathedral is booked months in advance." "I made a substantial donation to secure the date," her father said dismissively. "The designer could deliver your gown early, and Marjorie is reworking all the arrangements." But, no buts, Lillian, her mother interrupted. This is happening. The Aldridges have done so much for this family. Your father's business wouldn't have survived the recession without their support. What are you saying? Richard Barrington looked uncomfortable. The Aldridges extended us significant loans when things got tight. Part of our arrangement was your marriage to Clayton. You sold me to save your business. Lillian whispered, horrified. Don't be dramatic, her mother snapped. We secured your future with a respected family. Many girls would be grateful. Lillian ran to the greenhouse, where Noah was working alone. She told him everything through tears. 2 weeks, she sobbed, and I'm basically collateral in a business deal. Noah held her tight. We'll figure this out, I promise. But the next day, Eleanor Barrington summoned Noah to her office. Mr. Chambers, your work has been exemplary, but we no longer require your services. May I ask why, ma'am? Eleanor's eyes were cold. Let's not pretend. I've seen how you look at my daughter, and I saw you together last night. Noah's face remained composed. Mrs. Barrington, save it. You're fired. Leave the property immediately, or I'll call the police. At least let me speak to Lillian. That won't be happening. Lillian is confined to the house until her wedding. If you attempt to contact her, I'll ensure you never work in this state again. She slid an envelope across the desk. This should compensate you for the remainder of your contract. Take it and disappear. Noah left the envelope. Tell Lillian I'm sorry. That night, Lillian learned Noah had been fired. She tried to call him, but her phone had been confiscated. She tried to leave the house, but the staff had been instructed not to let her out. She was a prisoner in her own home. The days passed in a blur of fittings and meetings. Clayton, oblivious to her distress, called to discuss photo opportunities at the wedding. The Times wants exclusive access to the ceremony. Think of the exposure for my campaign. Lillian said nothing, her mind on Noah. Where was he? Did he think she'd abandoned him? The night before the wedding, her father came to her room. I know you're upset about the landscape architect, he said awkwardly. But you need to understand, people like us don't mix with people like him. People like him? Lillian repeated. You mean people with integrity? People who work hard and follow their dreams. You know what I mean? It would never be accepted. Think of the scandal. I love him, Dad. Richard shook his head. Love doesn't pay bills, Lillian. Love doesn't maintain our position in society. You'll learn to love Clayton, or at least to live with him comfortably. Is that what you and Mom have? Comfort. Her father had no answer. The wedding day dawned bright and clear. The cathedral was transformed into a flower-filled wonderland. Hundreds of guests arrived, including political figures, celebrities, and society's elite. In her dressing room, Lillian sat motionless as stylists arranged her hair and makeup. The French designer made last-minute adjustments to her million-dollar gown. You look like a princess, one of the bridesmaids gushed. Lillian stared at her reflection. She looked beautiful, but her eyes were empty. Eleanor entered, resplendent in designer blue. It's time, darling. Everyone is waiting. As they approached the cathedral entrance, Lillian saw the press gathered outside. Photographers called her name, flashbulbs popping. Remember to smile, her mother hissed. The whole world is watching. The organ began to play. Her father took her arm. The massive doors swung open, revealing the flower-lined aisle, and hundreds of faces turned toward her. Clayton waited at the altar, handsome in his tuxedo, a politically perfect smile on his face. Lillian didn't move. Walk, her mother commanded through clenched teeth. But Lillian stood frozen, her heart pounding. This wasn't right. None of it was right. And suddenly, she knew what she had to do. I can't, she whispered. What? Her father asked. I can't do this. She looked around at the expectant faces, the cameras, the perfect flowers. I'm sorry. Then she turned and ran. Gasps and murmurs erupted behind her. She heard her mother's horrified cry, her father calling her name. But Lillian kept running, down the cathedral steps, past the shocked photographers, through the crowded streets of Savannah. She had no idea where she was going. She only knew she couldn't go back. Lillian ran until her lungs burned. The expensive wedding gown snagged on bushes and dragged in the dirt as she fled through the streets of Savannah. People stared in shock at the sight of a bride running alone, her veil long gone, her makeup streaked with tears. She didn't care. For the first time in her life, Lillian Barrington wasn't concerned with appearances. 3 blocks from the cathedral, she kicked off her painful designer heels. The pavement was hot against her bare feet, but the discomfort barely registered. She had to find Noah. Back at the cathedral, chaos erupted. Eleanor Barrington nearly fainted, caught by her husband before she hit the floor. "Get after her," she hissed at Richard. "Bring her back." Clayton stood at the altar, his face a mask of controlled fury. His parents huddled with his campaign manager, already strategizing how to handle the public relations disaster. "She's probably just nervous," Clayton told the waiting guests, his political smile firmly in place. "Cold feet. We'll have her back in no time." But his eyes told a different story. This was more than embarrassment. It was a blow to his carefully crafted image. His perfect bride had just humiliated him in front of the governor, 2 senators, and every important family in Georgia. Outside, the press went wild. Photographers ran after Lillian, while reporters called in the breaking story. Barrington heiress flees wedding would make headlines across the country by evening. Richard Barrington sent security to search for his daughter. "Find her and bring her home," he ordered, discreetly. Meanwhile, Lillian had reached the bus station. Still in her wedding dress, she approached the ticket counter. "1 ticket to the last stop," she said breathlessly. The elderly clerk stared at her torn gown. "You okay, honey?" "I will be. Please, I need to get out of here." "That'll be $42. Lillian reached for her purse before realizing she had nothing with her. No wallet, no phone, no ID. "I don't have any money," she whispered, desperation rising. The clerk glanced around, then pushed a ticket across the counter. "On me. Been married 40 years, and I know a jailbreak when I see one. Bus leaves in 10 minutes from platform 3. "Thank you. I'll pay you back somehow. Just be happy, girl. That's payment enough." On the bus, Lillian sank into a seat in the back, trying to make herself small. As the bus pulled away, she saw a security guard from her father's company searching the station. She ducked down until they were out of sight. The bus drove for an hour, stopping at small towns along the way. At each stop, Lillian tensed, afraid her father's men would board. But no one came for her. At the final stop, a small town 50 miles from Savannah, Lillian stumbled off the bus. Night was falling, and she had nowhere to go. She walked to a small diner and slipped into a booth in the corner. A waitress approached. "Can I get you something, hon? Besides a story about that dress?" Lillian tried to smile. "I don't have any money, but I can work. Wash dishes, anything." The waitress, whose name tag read Betty, studied her. "Runaway bride. Huh? Must have been some wedding. You have no idea." Betty sighed. "Stay here. I'll get you some coffee." She returned with coffee and a sandwich. "On the house. My sister owns this place. She ran away from her own wedding 20 years ago. Best decision she ever made." Lillian ate gratefully. "I need to make a phone call. It's important. Phone's in the back. Local calls only." Lillian dialed Noah's number from memory, praying he'd answer. After 3 rings, his voice came through the line. "Hello, Noah? It's me." Silence then. "Lillian? Where are you? Are you okay?" "I'm Phoenix. I left Noah. I couldn't go through with it." "I know. It's all over the news. Can you come get me? I'm at a diner called Betty's in Millfield. I'll be there in an hour. Don't move." While she waited, Lillian used the diner's bathroom to clean up. She splashed water on her face and tried to wash the makeup stains from her cheeks. The gown was beyond saving, torn in several places, the hem black with dirt. She pulled her hair into a simple ponytail and stared at her reflection. Without the perfect makeup and hair, she looked younger, more vulnerable. But her eyes were clearer than they'd been in months. True to his word, Noah arrived an hour later. When he walked into the diner, Lillian ran to him, not caring who saw. He held her tight, burying his face in her hair. "I thought I'd lost you," he whispered. "Never." Betty approached with a knowing smile. "Your ride's here, I see." "Thank you for everything," Lillian said. "I'll send money to repay you. Just be happy, child. That's all the payment I need." In Noah's truck, Lillian finally relaxed. "Where are we going?" "I have a small cabin about 2 hours from here. We can stay there until things calm down." "They won't calm down, Noah. My family, Clayton, they won't just let this go. He took her hand. Then we'll figure out together. As they drove through the night, Lillian's phone began ringing in Noah's pocket. Your mother's been calling this number for hours, he explained. I found your phone in the greenhouse after they fired me. I was hoping you'd try to contact me. Lillian took the phone and turned it off. I don't want to talk to any of them right now. You'll have to eventually. I know, but not tonight. The cabin was small but cozy, tucked away in the woods near a lake. It had been Noah's grandfather's, he explained. The old furniture was worn but comfortable, and the pantry was stocked with basic supplies. It's not what you're used to, Noah said, suddenly self-conscious. Lillian looked around at the simple, honest space. It's perfect. He found her an old t-shirt and sweatpants to change into. The relief of getting out of the wedding dress was immense. Once changed, she sat on the porch swing, watching fireflies dance over the lake. Noah joined her, handing her a cup of tea. What happens now? I don't know. I can't go back. Your family will be looking for you. Let them look. She leaned against him. I'm where I want to be. They sat in comfortable silence, the night wrapping around them like a blanket. For the first time in her life, Lillian felt truly free. But reality couldn't be held at bay for long. The next morning, Noah turned on the small TV to check the news. The runaway bride story was everywhere. Footage showed the chaos at the cathedral, Clayton's tight-lipped statement about personal matters that will be resolved privately, and Eleanor Barrington being helped to a waiting car, her face hidden behind large sunglasses. Then came Richard Barrington's statement, "My daughter is unwell." The stress of the wedding preparations triggered an episode. We're concerned for her safety and asking for privacy during this difficult time. Unwell, Lillian scoffed. They're making it sound like I'm mentally ill. It's damage control, Noah said grimly. They can't admit you ran because you didn't want to marry Clayton. The news anchor continued. Sources close to the family suggest Lillian Barrington may have been involved with another man. Rumors point to a recently fired employee of the Barrington estate. Noah turned off the TV. They're going to paint me as the villain who stole you away. You didn't steal me. He shows you. The world won't see it that way. He paced the small living room. Lillian, maybe you should call your father, just to let him know you're safe, so they can track the call. No thanks. She wrapped her arms around him. We'll figure this out. Together. They spent the day at the cabin, talking about their future. Noah had savings, enough to start over somewhere new. Lillian had no money of her own. Everything was controlled by her parents. But she had a degree in art history and could look for work at museums or galleries. We could go west, Noah suggested. California, maybe, or north to New York. Anywhere, as long as we're together. That evening, as they prepared a simple dinner, headlights flashed through the windows. A car was coming up the long driveway. Noah peered outside. It's not your father's men. It's a woman. When they opened the door, they found Sophia, Noah's sister. You two are all over the news, she said, hugging her brother. It wasn't hard to figure out where you'd go. How did you find us? Lillian asked. Noah always comes here when he needs to think. And right now, he needs to think harder than ever. She handed them a newspaper. Your famous brother. The headline read, Barrington bride runs OFF with Black gardener. Noah winced at the deliberate use of gardener instead of landscape architect, a subtle way to diminish him. There's more, Sophia said. The Aldridges are threatening to sue Noah for alienation of affection. They're saying he seduced you away from Clayton. That's ridiculous, Lillian exclaimed. I left because I didn't love Clayton. He knew that. Clayton's running for office, Noah reminded her. He can't admit his fiancée left him at the altar. Better to blame the help. Sophia nodded. They're spinning it hard. Your mother's on TV talking about how you were manipulated by an employee who took advantage of your kindness. That's absurd, Lillian said, but doubt crept into her voice. People won't believe that. They'll believe what they're told to believe, Noah said quietly. Especially about a black man and a white heiress in the South. The severity of their situation settled over them. This wasn't just about walking away from a wedding. There would be consequences, serious ones. What do we do? Lillian asked. You need a lawyer, Sophia said. Both of you do. I can't afford a lawyer who could go against the Barringtons and Aldridges, Noah pointed out. and all my money is tied up in trusts controlled by my father. Sophia opened her purse and pulled out an envelope. I've been saving for a down payment on a house. It's not much, but it's something. Noah shook his head. I can't take your money. You're not taking it. I'm investing in your happiness. She looked between them. Both of you. That night, after Sophia left, Lillian and Noah lay in bed, holding each other. I am sorry, Lillian whispered. I never meant to bring this kind of trouble into your life. Don't apologize for loving me. I don't regret it. Not for a second. She touched his face. But I'm scared, Noah. What if they try to hurt you? What if? He silenced her with a kiss. We'll face whatever comes. Together. The next morning, Lillian's phone rang again. This time, it was a number she didn't recognize. Hello. Lillian? It's Margaret. Clayton's sister. Lillian sat up straight. Margaret? How did you get this number? That doesn't matter. Listen, I don't have much time. Clayton and your parents are planning something. He's convinced a judge to issue an order for a psychiatric evaluation. They're saying you're not mentally competent. What? That's insane. They're going to use it to bring you home and to press charges against Noah for taking advantage of someone who's not in her right mind. Lillian's blood ran cold. When? They're coming for you tomorrow. I don't know where you are, and I don't want to know. But you need to be careful. Margaret's voice softened. For what it's worth, I always thought you were too good for my brother. After hanging up, Lillian told Noah everything. We need to leave, he said immediately. Tonight. And go where? I have a friend in Charleston. He'll let us stay with him until we figure things out. They packed quickly, taking only what they needed. As they loaded Noah's truck, Lillian felt a strange sense of peace despite the chaos. For the first time, she was making her own choices. They left as the sun was setting, driving east toward Charleston. Noah kept checking the rearview mirror, alert for any signs of pursuit. Once we get to Charleston, we should consider going further, he said. Maybe up north, or even out of the country for a while. I'll go anywhere with you. They stopped at a small gas station to refuel. While Noah pumped gas, Lillian went inside to buy coffee. The television behind the counter was tuned to a news channel. Her own face stared back at her, a photo from the society pages next to a grainy security camera image of her in the bus station. The clerk looked up from his phone and did a double take. Hey, aren't you? No, Lillian said quickly. I just have one of those faces. She paid for the coffee and hurried back to the truck. We need to go. Now, as they pulled back onto the highway, a police car appeared behind them, lights flashing. They found us, Lillian whispered, fear gripping her chest. Noah pulled over, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. Stay calm. We haven't done anything wrong. The officer approached slowly, flashlight in hand. License and registration, please. Noah handed over his documents. Step out of the vehicle, sir. Is there a problem, officer? Step out of the vehicle. Noah complied, hands visible. Officer, I haven't done anything wrong. We receive a report about a kidnapping suspect in this area. The officer shined his light on Lillian. Ma'am, are you Lillian Barrington? Before she could answer, a second police car arrived. 2 more officers got out, hands on their weapons. Noah Chambers, one called. We have a warrant for your arrest. Arrest, Lillian cried. For what? Kidnapping, coercion, and interference with a legal contract. Noah stood very still. I haven't kidnapped anyone. Lillian is here of her own free will. That's not for me to decide. The officer took out handcuffs. Turn around, sir. No. Lillian jumped out of the truck. This is wrong. I wasn't kidnapped. I left my wedding because I wanted to. Ma'am, your father has a court order for your return to his custody, pending psychiatric evaluation. Psychiatric evaluation? I'm not crazy. Please step back, ma'am. Noah turned to her, his eyes full of love and regret. Lillian, it's okay. Call Sophia. She'll help. No, I won't let them take you. She tried to reach him, but an officer held her back. Ma'am, please calm down or we'll have to restrain you as well. As they handcuffed Noah and led him to the police car, Lillian felt her world shattering all over again. I love you, she called after him. I'll fix this, I promise. Noah looked back once. I love you too. Stay strong. The officers put Lillian in the second police car. We're taking you back to your parents, Miss Barrington. For your own good. The drive back to Savannah was a nightmare. Lillian sat in silence, tears streaming down her face. They were separating her from Noah, the only person who truly saw her for who she was. When they arrived at the Barrington estate, her parents were waiting. Eleanor rushed forward, putting on a show of maternal concern for the officer's benefit. "My poor darling, we've been so worried." Richard thanked the officers profusely. "We're grateful for your help in bringing our daughter home safely." Once the police left, Eleanor's facade dropped. "Get inside. Now." In the grand foyer, Lillian faced her parents. "Where's Noah? What have you done to him?" "That man took advantage of you," Richard said coldly. "He'll face the consequences." "He didn't take advantage of me. I love him." Eleanor slapped her across the face. "Don't you dare say that in this house." Lillian touched her stinging cheek, shocked. "You can't keep me here. I'm 25 years old." "Actually, we can," Richard said, producing a document. "Judge Hartwell has granted us temporary guardianship pending your psychiatric evaluation. Dr. Maxwell will be here tomorrow morning." "This is insane. I'm not mentally ill." A respected young woman doesn't run out on her wedding and disappear with the gardener unless she's unwell, Eleanor said icily. "What were you thinking, Lillian? Do you have any idea of the scandal you've caused?" "I was thinking that I didn't want to marry a man I don't love." "Love?" Eleanor scoffed. "What does love have to do with marriage at our level of society? Marriage is an alliance, a business arrangement. Then I want no part of it." Richard stepped forward. "You don't have a choice. The wedding has been rescheduled for next month. After a suitable period of recovery, of course." "I won't do it. You can't force me to marry Clayton." "Yes, we can," Eleanor said smoothly. "Because if you don't, your precious Noah will go to prison for a very long time. Kidnapping, coercion. Clayton's lawyers are quite creative." Lillian felt the blood drain from her face. "You wouldn't. Try us," Richard said. "The Aldridges have judges and prosecutors in their pocket. Your landscape architect won't stand a chance." "This is blackmail. This is family," Eleanor corrected. "Now go to your room. You're not to leave the house until after the wedding." Lillian found her room transformed. Her phone and laptop gone, the windows secured, even her art supplies removed. She was a prisoner in her childhood bedroom. A maid brought dinner on a tray. Martha had worked for the family for 20 years and had a soft spot for Lillian. "Miss Lillian, I'm so sorry about all this," she whispered, glancing nervously at the door. "Martha, can you help me? I need to contact Noah's sister, Sophia." The older woman hesitated. "They'll fire me if I get involved." "Please, they're going to send an innocent man to prison." "Matzesite, I'll see what I can do, but be careful. Your mother has hired security to watch the house." The next morning, Dr. Maxwell arrived, an old colleague of her father's. His evaluation was a sham, his questions leading and biased. "Would you say you've been under unusual stress lately?" "Yes, because my parents are forcing me to marry someone I don't love." He wrote something in his notebook. "Have you experienced mood swings?" "Impulsive behavior. Leaving my wedding wasn't impulsive. It was the most clear-headed decision I've ever made." More writing. "And this relationship with the employee, how did that develop?" "His name is Noah Chambers. He's a landscape architect with his own company." Yes. But wouldn't you agree it's unusual for someone in your position to become romantically involved with the help?" Lillian stood up. "This isn't a real evaluation. You're just here to give my parents what they want." Dr. Maxwell closed his notebook. "I think we're done here." Later, Lillian overheard him speaking with her parents in the study. "Delusional attachment disorder," he was saying, "combined with pre-wedding anxiety and possibly some unresolved daddy issues. The gardener represented a forbidden fruit, an escape fantasy." "Can you treat it?" Eleanor asked eagerly. "With the right medication and therapy, yes. I'm prescribing a mild sedative to keep her calm until the wedding." Lillian backed away from the door, horrified. They were going to drug her into compliance. That night, Martha slipped her a burner phone. "I got word to Miss Sophia. She says to call this number." Lillian hugged the older woman. "Thank you." In the bathroom, with the shower running to mask her voice, Lillian called the number. "Law offices of James Patterson," a voice answered. "I need to speak with Sophia Chambers." She's expecting my call. A moment later, Sophia came on the line. Lillian, are you okay? They've got me locked in the house, and they're threatening to send Noah to prison if I don't marry Clayton next month. We're working on it. James is a good lawyer. He's filing motions to get the guardianship overturned and the charges against Noah dismissed. How is he? Have you seen him? He's holding up. They're keeping him in county jail until the arraignment. Tears filled Lillian's eyes. This is all my fault. No, it's not. It's the fault of people who think they can control others. Listen, James needs evidence that you left willingly. Do you have anything that proves you wanted to leave before the wedding? Letters, messages, anything? Lillian thought for a moment. My sketchbook. It's full of drawings of Noah, notes about how unhappy I was. But it's in my studio, and I'm locked in my bedroom. Can you get to it? I'll try, but I don't know how to get it out of the house. Work on that. I'll call again tomorrow night. For the next 3 days, Lillian pretended to comply with her parents' wishes. She took the placebo vitamins they gave her, thinking they were sedatives. She spoke politely at dinner, asked about wedding plans, and acted suitably repentant. Eleanor was suspicious at first, but gradually relaxed her guard. I'm glad to see you're coming to your senses. I realize now how foolish I was, Lillian said, the lies burning her throat. I wasn't thinking clearly. Her father seemed relieved. The medications must be working. On the 4th day, Lillian was allowed to visit her studio, accompanied by a security guard who waited outside. She quickly found her sketchbook hidden under a stack of canvases. Page after page documented her feelings for Noah and her dread of marrying Clayton. She tucked the book in her sweater and returned to her room. That night, she spoke to Sophia again. I have the sketchbook, but I can't get out of the house. Leave that to me, Sophia said confidently. Tomorrow at noon, be ready. The next day, exactly at noon, the security system at the Barrington estate mysteriously failed. Alarms blared throughout the house, drawing everyone's attention to the main gate. In the confusion, Lillian heard a soft tap at her bedroom window. When she looked out, she saw a young woman she didn't recognize perched on a ladder. Sophia sent me, the woman whispered. I'm Tanya. We don't have much time. Lillian grabbed the sketchbook and her mother's credit card, which she'd stolen from Eleanor's purse the night before. She climbed out the window and down the ladder. A car was waiting at the edge of the property with Sophia in the driver's seat. Get in. Hurry. As they sped away, Lillian looked back at the mansion that had been both her home and her prison. I can't believe we did it. We're not done yet, Sophia said grimly. We still need to get Noah out of jail. They drove straight to James Patterson's office. The lawyer was a serious-looking man in his 50s with kind eyes and a determined expression. Miss Barrington, I'm glad to see you're safe. Please call me Lillian, and thank you for helping us. James examined the sketchbook carefully. This is good. It clearly shows your state of mind before the wedding. But we need more. Like what? Testimonials from people who knew about your relationship with Noah. People who can confirm you weren't coerced. Lillian thought for a moment. Martha, our housekeeper, and Betty, the waitress at the diner where Noah picked me up. The clerk at the bus station who gave me a free ticket. James nodded. My associates will track them down. In the meantime, you need to record a statement. Lillian sat before a camera and told her story. How she'd been promised to Clayton since childhood. How she'd fallen in love with Noah. How she'd left the wedding of her own free will. I'm not mentally ill, she said firmly. I'm a woman who chose love over duty, and I'm being punished for it. James stopped the recording. We'll file for an emergency hearing tomorrow. With this evidence, we should be able to get the guardianship overturned. And Noah, can you get him released? We're working on it. But the Aldridges have a lot of influence. That night, Lillian stayed at Sophia's apartment, unable to sleep. She kept thinking of Noah in a jail cell, suffering because he loved her. In the morning, they went to court. Lillian's parents were there, along with Clayton and his family. Eleanor gasped when she saw her daughter. What's she doing here? She should be at home. The judge, a stern woman in her 60s, called the court to order. We're here to review the guardianship order for Lillian Barrington. James presented their evidence, the sketchbook, Lillian's recorded statement, and affidavits from Martha and Betty. Your Honor, My client is a competent adult who left her wedding of her own free will. The guardianship was obtained under false pretenses to force her back into an unwanted marriage. Richard Barrington's lawyer argued that Lillian had suffered a mental break and needed protection from herself. The judge studied Lillian. "Young lady, I'd like to hear directly from you. Why did you leave your wedding?" Lillian stood, her voice clear and strong. "Because I didn't love Clayton. I never did. Our marriage was arranged by our families for social and financial reasons. I was expected to play my part without question. And this landscape architect, I love Noah Chambers. We didn't plan for it to happen, but it did. I left my wedding before I saw him that day. The decision was mine alone." The judge nodded slowly. "I've reviewed Dr. Maxwell's evaluation. It seems remarkably convenient that he diagnosed you with a disorder that would justify your parents' actions." Eleanor stood up. "Your Honor, we only want what's best for our daughter." "What's best for your daughter is allowing her to make her own choices," the judge replied. "The guardianship is dissolved, effective immediately. Miss Barrington, you're free to go." Relief washed over Lillian. She was free, but Noah was still in jail. As they left the courtroom, Clayton approached. "This isn't over, Lillian." "Yes, it is, Clayton. Go find someone else to be your political prop." His face darkened. "You'll regret choosing him over me." "No, I won't. The only thing I regret is not leaving sooner." Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed them, shouting questions. James guided Lillian through the crowd to a waiting car. "What about Noah?" she asked as they drove away. "When will he be released?" James looked troubled. "The charges against him are more complicated. The Aldridges are pushing hard, but we proved I wasn't kidnapped or coerced." "Yes, but they're now claiming he trespassed on Barrington property after being fired, violated his employment contract, and interfered with the wedding contract. That's ridiculous. It's legal maneuvering. They're trying to keep him locked up." Sophia touched Lillian's hand. "We're not giving up, but you need to prepare yourself. This could take time." That afternoon, they allowed Lillian to visit Noah in jail. Seeing him in a prison jumpsuit, separated by glass, broke her heart. "You're okay," he said, relief flooding his face. "I was so worried." "I'm fine." The judge overturned the guardianship. "I'm legally free. Thank God. But you're still here." Tears filled her eyes. "I'm so sorry, Noah." "Don't apologize. I knew what I was risking when I fell in love with you. We're going to get you out. James is working on it." Noah placed his hand against the glass. Lillian matched hers to it, wishing she could feel his skin. "Whatever happens," he said softly, "know that I don't regret a single moment with you." "Don't talk like that. You're getting out of here." But as days passed, the legal battle grew more complex. The Aldridges pulled every string, called in every favor. Noah's bail was denied. The trial was scheduled for 3 months away. Lillian moved into Sophia's apartment and took a job at a small art gallery to support herself. Her parents had cut her off completely. One evening, as she and Sophia were discussing the case, Lillian's phone rang. It was a number she didn't recognize. "Hello. Lillian, it's Margaret, Clayton's sister." "Margaret? What do you want?" "To help. I can't stand what my family is doing to you and Noah. It's wrong. Why should I trust you?" "Because I have proof that Clayton and your father conspired to file false charges. I overheard them talking about how they'd make sure Noah stayed in jail until you agreed to come back." Lillian's heart raced. "Can you get this proof to James Patterson? He's our lawyer." "I already have. But there's something else. Clayton is planning to visit Noah in jail tomorrow. I don't know why, but it can't be good." After hanging up, Lillian called James, who confirmed he'd received documents from Margaret, emails between Clayton and Richard discussing how to handle the Noah problem. "This could be enough to get the charges dismissed," James said, "but we need to move quickly." The next morning, Lillian went to the jail, determined to see Noah before Clayton arrived. But she was too late. Clayton was already there. Through the visitor's room window, she could see them talking. Clayton looked smug, while Noah's expression grew increasingly troubled. When Clayton left, he spotted Lillian in the waiting area. He smirked. "Came to see your boyfriend? Better hurry. He might not want to see you anymore." "What did you say to him?" "Just offered him a deal. A very generous one." Cold fear gripped Lillian as she was escorted to the visitor's booth. Noah wouldn't meet her eyes. "Noah, what's wrong? What did Clayton say to you?" He looked up, his eyes pained. "He offered to drop all charges if I agreed to leave town and never contact you again. You can't seriously be considering it." "Lillian, I could be looking at years in prison. Years of appeals, legal fees we can't afford. We have new evidence." Margaret gave James emails proving they fabricated the charges. Hope flickered in Noah's eyes, then faded. "Even if the charges are dropped, what kind of life can I offer you? I've lost my business. No one will hire me after this scandal. We'll start over somewhere else. Together. Your family will never accept me. I don't care about my family. I care about you." Noah pressed his hand against the glass. "I love you too much to ruin your life. You are my life." Tears streamed down Lillian's face. "Don't you dare give up on us." That night, Lillian couldn't sleep. The thought of losing Noah was unbearable. She had to do something dramatic. The next morning, she walked into Clayton's campaign office. His assistant tried to stop her, but Lillian pushed past. "Clayton, we need to talk." He looked up from his desk, surprised. "Lillian, what an unexpected pleasure. Cut the act. I know about your deal with Noah." Clayton leaned back in his chair. "It's a fair offer. He walks free. You come back where you belong. I'm never coming back to you, but I'm willing to make a deal. I am listening. Drop all charges against Noah, and I'll give you something valuable for your campaign. What could you possibly offer me now?" Lillian took a deep breath. "A clean break. A public statement that we mutually agreed to end our engagement due to irreconcilable differences. I'll say we both realized we wanted different things. No escândalo, no runaway bridge, no humiliação." Clayton studied her. "That's not enough. I'll also give you back the ring and never speak publicly about what really happened. Your reputation stays intact. And if I refuse, then I go to every news outlet in the country. I tell them how you and my father conspired to have an innocent man imprisoned. I show them the emails Margaret gave us." Clayton's face paled. "Margaret? My own sister betrayed me. She did the right thing. Now it's your turn." He was silent for a long moment. "If I agree, you and the garter disappear. No interviews, no tell-all books, nothing. His name is Noah Chambers. And yes, we'll leave Savannah. How do I know you'll keep your word? Because unlike you, Clayton, I have integrity." Later that day, James called with the news. All charges against Noah had been dropped. He would be released within hours. Lillian rushed to the jail, her heart pounding. When Noah walked through the gates, free at last, she ran into his arms. He held her tight, burying his face in her hair. "I can't believe you did it. I told you I would." She looked up at him. "We're free, Noah. Both of us." But as they walked to Sophia's car, Lillian's phone rang. It was her mother. She almost didn't answer, but something told her she should. "Hello. You've destroyed everything," Eleanor hissed. "Your father's business, our reputation, your future." Lillian looked at Noah, his hand warm in hers. "No," she replied. "I've saved myself." Then she hung up and turned toward the future, their future, together. 2 weeks after Noah's release from jail, Lillian stood in Sophia's small apartment, packing the few belongings she'd accumulated. The tiny bedroom had been her sanctuary during the darkest days of the fight for Noah's freedom. Now it was time to move on. "Are you sure about this?" Sophia asked, leaning against the doorframe. "You're welcome to stay longer." Lillian smiled. "You've done more than enough. Besides, Noah and I need to start building our life together." "Where will you go?" "Charleston, for now. Noah's friend has offered to let us stay in his guest house while we figure things out." Sophia helped fold the last of Lillian's clothes. "You know they won't give up, right? Your parents, Clayton, they're not the type to let go easily. They'll have to." Clayton's agreement with me was clear. He drops the charges, and Noah and I disappear from Savannah. Just be careful, that's all I'm saying. Noah arrived an hour later to pick her up. His truck had been impounded during his arrest and only recently released back to him. The sight of him, free, smiling, waiting for her, still made Lillian's heart skip. "Ready to go?" he asked, taking her small suitcase. "More than ready." They said goodbye to Sophia with promises to stay in touch. As they drove away from Savannah, Lillian felt a weight lifting. The elegant homes and Spanish moss-draped trees that had once defined her world now seemed like relics of a past life. No regrets, Noah asked, glancing at her. Not one. The guest house in Charleston was small but charming, tucked behind a main house in a lush garden. Noah's friend Marcus, an architect he'd worked with on several projects, welcomed them warmly. "Stay as long as you need," he insisted. "My wife and I are heading to Europe for 3 months anyway. You'll be doing us a favor by house-sitting." For the first time since the wedding day, Lillian and Noah had space to breathe, to simply be together without crisis or drama. They fell into an easy routine: morning coffee on the patio, job hunting during the day, cooking dinner together in the evening. Lillian applied for positions at small galleries and museums, while Noah reached out to landscape design firms. Both faced rejection after rejection. "It's like we've been blacklisted," Noah said one evening, after his third interview that week had ended with vague excuses. Lillian nodded. "The same thing happened to me today. The gallery owner was excited about my resume over the phone, but when I arrived, her whole demeanor changed. She'd clearly recognized my name. The Barrington-Aldrich influence reaches farther than we thought." Despite the setbacks, they refused to lose hope. Lillian started painting again, creating vibrant canvases that reflected her newfound freedom. Noah sketched new garden designs, hoping to rebuild his portfolio. One afternoon, a courier arrived with a thick envelope addressed to Lillian. Inside was a legal document. Her father was contesting her grandmother's trust fund, claiming Lillian was mentally unfit to receive the inheritance due on her 26th birthday in 3 months. "He can't do this," she said, hands shaking. "That money is mine. Grandma left it specifically to me." Noah read through the papers. "We need to call James." The lawyer was not surprised. "I expected something like this. Your father is trying to maintain financial control over you. Can he win?" "Not with the evidence we have. The judge already ruled you're mentally competent. But fighting this will take time and money, both of which they have more of than you do." Lillian thought of the trust fund. Nearly $2 million that could secure their future. "We have to fight." That night, she told Noah, "I need to go back to Savannah." "What?" "What?" "To talk to my grandmother's attorney, Stephen Bennett. He knows the terms of the trust better than anyone. And he never liked how my parents controlled me." Noah shook his head. "It's too dangerous. Your parents could try to detain you again." "They can't. The court revoked their guardianship. I'm legally free to go wherever I want." "Lillian, I need to do this, Noah. That trust fund is our chance to start over somewhere new. Somewhere beyond their reach." After much discussion, they agreed she would go alone. Noah's presence would only inflame the situation. The next morning, Lillian rented a car and drove the 2 hours back to Savannah, her stomach knotting with every mile. The city looked the same, as if the turmoil of recent weeks had left no mark. She drove directly to Bennett's office in the historic district. The elderly lawyer was surprised but pleased to see her. "Lillian, my dear, I've been wondering how you were faring." "Not well, if you've seen the petition my father filed." Bennett nodded grimly. "I have. Richard is trying to use a mental health clause in the trust that was meant to protect you, not control you. Can he succeed? He's attempting to use Dr. Maxwell's evaluation, but that's been discredited in court already. I don't think he has a strong case." "Then why do it all?" Bennett leaned back in his chair. "Because fighting it will drain your resources. He's betting you'll give up and come home." Lillian's jaw set. "Never. Your grandmother suspected something like this might happen. That's why she added a special provision, a letter of mental competency from any licensed psychiatrist within 6 months of your 26th birthday would override any challenge." Hope surged through Lillian. "So I just need a legitimate evaluation? From someone not in your father's pocket?" "Yes. I took the liberty of setting up an appointment for you tomorrow with Dr. Rachel Winters. She's highly respected and completely independent." "Thank you, Stephen. I don't know how to repay you." The lawyer smiled kindly. "Your grandmother was like a sister to me. Seeing you free and happy would be payment enough." As Lillian left the office, she noticed a black sedan parked across the street. A man with a camera sat in the driver's seat. The Barringtons were having her followed. She checked into a small hotel under a false name. not wanting to risk her parents discovering where she was staying. That night, she called Noah. "Everything's set for the evaluation tomorrow. Then I'll head straight back." "Be careful," he urged. "I don't trust your father not to try something." The next morning, Lillian met with Dr. Winters, a warm, no-nonsense woman in her 50s. The evaluation was thorough but fair, focusing on Lillian's current mental state rather than past events. "Miss Barrington, I see no evidence of any disorder or incapacity," Dr. Winters concluded. "You appear to be a young woman who knows her own mind quite well. Will you put that in writing for the trust?" "Already done." She handed Lillian a sealed envelope. "I've also made a copy for your attorney." Relieved, Lillian left the office, the precious document secure in her purse. She was so focused on getting back to her rental car that she didn't notice the black town car until it pulled up beside her. The back door opened, and Clayton stepped out. "Lillian, what a surprise." She tensed. "I'm just leaving, Clayton." "Running back to your gardener?" "How charming." His tone was light, but his eyes were cold. "We had an agreement, Lillian. You were supposed to disappear. I'm handling personal business. It doesn't concern you. Everything about you concerns me." He moved closer. "Do you have any idea what you did to my campaign? The whispers, the jokes?" Can't even keep his fiancée from running off with the help. "That's not my problem." "Oh, but it is." Clayton reached for her arm. "You made it your problem when you humiliated me." Lillian backed away. "Don't touch me. Is everything okay here?" A police officer approached, eyeing them both. "Fine, officer," Clayton said smoothly. "Just catching up with an old friend." Lillian seized the opportunity. "Actually, I was just leaving." She hurried to her car, heart pounding. As she drove away, her phone rang. It was an unknown number. "Hello, Lillian? It's Martha from your parents' house." "Martha? How did you get this number?" "Miss Sophia gave it to me." "Listen, I don't have much time. Your parents know you're in Savannah. They're planning something." "What do you mean?" "I overheard your father talking with Mr. Aldridge. They mentioned having Noah arrested again if you don't cooperate." Fear gripped Lillian's chest. But the charges were dropped. "They're talking about new charges. Something about stolen property from the estate. Please be careful." After hanging up, Lillian called Noah immediately. No answer. She tried again. Still nothing. Panic rising, she called Sophia. "Have you heard from Noah today?" "Not since this morning. He was heading to a job interview in North Charleston." "What?" "My parents are planning something. I think Noah might be in danger. I'll try to reach him." "Where are you?" "On my way back to Charleston." "Tell Noah to stay inside. Don't answer the door." The 2-hour drive felt endless. When Lillian finally reached the guest house, Noah's truck was gone. The house was dark and empty. She called Sophia again. "He's not here. He's not answering my calls either." But his interview was supposed to end hours ago. Fear turned to dread. "I'm calling the police." But the Charleston police were no help. Noah was an adult, they explained. He hadn't been missing long enough to file a report. And given his recent arrest, they weren't inclined to prioritize the case. Lillian paced the small house, calling Noah's phone every few minutes. Around midnight, she heard a car in the driveway. She ran outside to find Marcus, Noah's friend, getting out his car. "Marcus? I thought you were in Europe." His face was grim. "We postponed the trip. Noah called me this afternoon, said he needed help." "Where is he? What happened?" "He was arrested again after his interview. Different county, different charges." "What charges?" "Theft. They're claiming he stole valuable plants and equipment from the Barrington estate." Lillian felt sick. "That's absurd. Noah would never steal anything." "I know. I call my lawyer friend who lives near the county jail. He's with Noah now. I need to go there." Marcus shook his head. "Noah specifically asked that you don't. He thinks it's a trap to get you both in the same place." "I can't just leave him there." "You won't. My lawyer is posting bail first thing in the morning. But Noah wants you to leave town tonight. He thinks you're in danger too." Lillian refused. "I'm not going anywhere without him." The night passed in agonizing slowness. At dawn, Marcus's phone rang. "That was my lawyer. Bail was denied. The judge cited Noah as a flight risk because of your previous disappearance." "This is insane. They're punishing him for loving me." "There's more." The lawyer overheard the prosecutor talking. "They're trying to add fraud charges, claiming Noah misrepresented himself to get the job at the Barrington estate." Lillian sank into a chair. This will never end, will it? They'll keep finding ways to hurt him. Not if we fight back. Noah needs a good criminal attorney, not just my friend helping out. I can't afford one. We've spent everything on the last case. Marcus hesitated. There might be another way. The media. Your story would make national news. Wealthy heiress, forbidden love, corrupt power players conspiring to separate you. Noah wouldn't want that kind of attention. He might not have a choice. This isn't just about bogus charges anymore. They're trying to destroy him to get to you. Lillian thought of Noah sitting in another jail cell, paying the price for loving her. Okay, let's do it. Marcus had connections at a national morning show. By that afternoon, producers were calling, eager to book the exclusive story of the runaway bride and her true love. Lillian agreed to the interview on one condition. They also highlight the corruption and abuse of power behind Noah's arrests. The night before the interview, Lillian received a call from a blocked number. Hello. Lillian, it's your father. She almost hung up. What do you want? To offer you a deal. Drop this television interview. Come home, and all charges against Noah will be dismissed. Why would I trust you? You've done nothing but try to control and manipulate me. Because despite what you think, I do love you. And I don't want to see your life destroyed by a mistake. Noah isn't a mistake. Richard Barrington sighed. Listen to me carefully. If you go through with this interview, things will get worse. Much worse. Are you threatening me? I'm warning you. Some stories, once told, can't be untold. Some actions can't be undone. I'm not afraid of you anymore. This isn't about fear. It's about protecting what's left of your future. After hanging up, Lillian called James Patterson. My father just threatened me about the interview tomorrow. That means they're scared. You're about to expose their tactics to the world. What if it makes things worse for Noah? It can't get much worse. Right now, public opinion is the only weapon you have. The next morning, a car picked Lillian up for the interview. The studio was in downtown Charleston, part of the national network's local affiliate. Makeup artists prepared her, while producers briefed her on the questions. Just before airtime, she was escorted to the set. The host, a sympathetic woman named Diane, welcomed her warmly. We're so glad you decided to share your story, Lillian. I'm only here because I have no choice. They've taken everything else from us. The red light on the camera came on, and Diane turned to face the viewers. Today, we have an exclusive interview with Lillian Barrington, the Savannah heiress who made headlines when she fled her wedding to be with a man she truly loves. Lillian, thank you for being here. Thank you for giving me a platform to tell the truth. Let's start at the beginning. You were engaged to Clayton Aldridge from one of Savannah's most prominent families. What went wrong? Lillian took a deep breath. Nothing went wrong because nothing was ever right. It was an arranged marriage, a business deal between our families. I never loved Clayton. And then you met Noah Chambers. Yes, he was hired to redesign our gardens before the wedding. We became friends, and eventually, that friendship grew into love. A love your family disapproved of. They more than disapproved. When they discovered our relationship, they fired Noah and essentially held me prisoner until the wedding, which you ran away from. I couldn't go through with it. I couldn't marry a man I didn't love when my heart belonged to someone else. Diane nodded sympathetically, but the story doesn't end there. Noah was arrested on completely fabricated charges. My parents and the Aldridges used their influence to have him jailed, while they had me declared mentally incompetent. That's a serious accusation. It's the truth. We have evidence. Emails between my father and Clayton discussing how to keep Noah in jail until I agreed to come back. And now Noah has been arrested again? Yes, on more false charges. They won't stop until they've destroyed him and me. Throughout the interview, Lillian remained composed but passionate, detailing the corruption and manipulation she'd experienced. When Diane asked why she was going public now, Lillian was direct. Because I've tried playing by their rules. I've tried being quiet. And all it's gotten Noah is another jail cell. It's time the world knew what powerful people are willing to do to maintain control. As the interview ended, Diane asked one final question. What do you want to say to your parents and the Aldridges, who are undoubtedly watching? Lillian looked directly into the camera. Let Noah go. Drop the charges. Let's live our lives. Or I will spend every day exposing the truth about all of you. The interview aired nationally an hour later. By noon, it had gone viral online. Lillian's phone rang constantly. Other news outlets, talk shows, even book publishers wanting her story. James Patterson called. You did well. Very well. The public reaction is overwhelming. Has it helped Noah? We're waiting to hear. The prosecutor's office is being flooded with calls and emails. By evening, the story had reached international news. Hashtags like hashtag Free Lillian's Love and hashtag Justice for Noah were trending. Public opinion had shifted dramatically in their favor. The next morning, James called again, his voice excited. The charges have been dropped. All of them. Noah's being released right now. Lillian broke down in tears. Really? It's over. The prosecutor couldn't take the heat. Even the governor's office was getting involved. 2 hours later, Lillian waited anxiously outside the county jail. When Noah finally walked through the gates, she ran to him, throwing her arms around his neck. I thought I'd lost you again, she whispered against his chest. Never. He held her tight. I saw the interview. You were amazing. I was terrified. You saved me. Again. They drove back to Charleston in Noah's truck, which Marcus had brought. As they crossed the bridge over the Cooper River, Noah reached for Lillian's hand. What happens now? Now we start over. Somewhere new. With what? We have no money, no jobs. Lillian smiled. Actually, we might. After the interview, I got calls from 3 different publishers wanting to buy our story. And a landscape magazine wants you to write a regular column. Noah looked surprised. Seriously? It seems being famous has its perks. For the first time in weeks, they both laughed. The weight hadn't completely lifted, but it had lightened considerably. Back at the guest house, they found Sophia waiting with champagne and takeout. To freedom, she toasted. They spent the evening making plans. With the trust fund dispute likely to be resolved in Lillian's favor and the potential book deal, they could afford to start fresh in a new city. I've always wanted to see the West Coast, Noah said. San Francisco? Seattle? Lillian suggested. Anywhere but the South for a while. Later that night, as they lay in bed, Noah traced Lillian's face with his fingertips. Are you sure about all this? The book, the interviews, leaving everything behind. I've never been more sure of anything. It won't be easy. The attention, the scrutiny. Nothing worth having comes easy. Noah kissed her softly. I love you, Lillian Barrington. I love you too, Noah Chambers. For the next few weeks, life took on an almost normal rhythm. Noah worked with Marcus on a small landscaping project. Lillian started sketching illustrations for a children's book a publisher had approached her about. They discussed wedding plans, something small and intimate, the opposite of the cathedral spectacle she'd fled from. The media attention gradually died down. The trust fund dispute was officially dropped after Dr. Winter's evaluation was submitted to the court. It seemed their fresh start was finally within reach. Then came the letter from Eleanor Barrington. Lillian recognized her mother's elegant handwriting on the envelope. She almost threw it away unopened, but decided to read it first. My dearest Lillian, it began, a formality that made her wince. I write to inform you that your father suffered a heart attack 3 days ago. He is stable but weak. The doctors say the stress of recent events contributed significantly to his condition. Guilt washed over Lillian, followed quickly by anger. Was this another manipulation? The letter continued. I know we have caused you pain. I cannot change the past, but I am asking, no, begging, for a chance to make amends. Your father has asked for you. Perhaps it is selfish of us to want to see you now, but life is unpredictable and terribly short. Eleanor had signed it simply Mother, not the usual formal Eleanor Barrington she used for correspondence. Noah found Lillian on the porch, the letter in her lap, tears on her cheeks. What's wrong? She handed him the letter. My father had a heart attack. Noah read it silently, his expression guarded. Do you think it's true? I don't know. It could be another trap. What do you want to do? Lillian sighed. Part of me wants to ignore it, after everything they've done. But there's still your parents. Yes, and if he really is ill. She looked up at Noah. Would you hate me if I went to see him? I could never hate you, but I'm worried about you going back there. I need to know if he's really sick. If this is just another manipulation, I can finally close that door for good. Noah nodded slowly. Then we'll go together. No, Lillian was firm. It's too risky for you to go back to Savannah. I'm not letting you face them alone. I won't be alone. I'll ask Sophia to come with me. And I'll call James so he knows where I am, just in case. After much discussion, Noah reluctantly agreed. The next morning, Lillian and Sophia drove to Savannah. They went directly to Memorial Hospital, where the letter said Richard was being treated. In the cardiac care unit, a nurse directed them to Richard's room. Lillian paused outside the door, steeling herself. You don't have to do this, Sophia reminded her. Yes, I do. When she entered, Lillian was shocked by her father's appearance. The powerful, imposing man she remembered was gone, replaced by a pale, diminished figure in a hospital bed. Eleanor sat beside him, her perfectly manicured hand resting on his. Lillian, Eleanor whispered. You came. Richard's eyes fluttered open. When he saw his daughter, tears formed. Lily, he said hoarsely, using the childhood nickname he hadn't spoken in years. Despite everything, Lillian felt her heart twist. She moved to the bedside. I'm here, Dad. Eleanor rose. I'll give you two a moment. As she passed Lillian, she touched her arm briefly, the first gentle contact between them in months. Alone with her father, Lillian didn't know what to say. Richard broke the silence. I'm sorry, he whispered, for everything. Lillian hadn't expected this. You are. When they told me I might die, all I could think about was you. How I'd failed you. You tried to control me. You had Noah arrested. Twice. Richard nodded weakly. I thought I knew what was best for you. I was wrong. Tears filled Lillian's eyes. Why couldn't you just let me be happy? Because I didn't understand. Not until I saw your interview. He reached for her hand. The way you spoke about him, that's real love. Yes, it is. I never had that. Not with your mother. Not with anyone. Our marriage was arranged, just like yours was supposed to be. That doesn't excuse what you did. No, it doesn't. Richard's voice grew stronger. But I'm asking for your forgiveness anyway. Not because I deserve it, but because I can't die knowing my daughter hates me. Lillian sank into the chair beside the bed. I don't hate you. I just want you to let me live my own life. I will. No more interference. No more control. And Noah? The charges are really dropped. Completely. I've made sure of it. Lillian wasn't ready to fully trust him, but she saw genuine remorse in his eyes. I need time, Dad. This can't be fixed in one conversation. I understand. But will you come back? Just to visit sometimes? Maybe. If you respect my choices. Even Noah, especially Noah, he's going to be my husband. Richard was quiet for a moment. Bring him next time. I should apologize to him too. When Eleanor returned, the conversation was stilted but civil. There were no accusations, no demands, just an uneasy truce. As Lillian prepared to leave, Eleanor followed her into the hallway. Thank you for coming. It means more than you know. I didn't come for you. I came for him. Eleanor nodded. Fair enough. But I hope someday you might come for me too. She hesitated. I've spent my life following rules I didn't create. I forgot how to listen to my own heart. Maybe it's too late for me, but it's not too late for you. Lillian didn't know how to respond to this glimpse of vulnerability from her always composed mother. Goodbye, Mother. Goodbye, Lillian. Be happy. On the drive back to Charleston, Lillian was quiet, processing the unexpected turn of events. Do you believe them? Sophia asked. About changing? I don't know. My father seems sincere, but they've lied before. What will you tell Noah? The truth. That my father is actually ill, that he apologized, that I'm still not sure what to think. When they reached the guest house, Noah was waiting anxiously on the porch. Lillian fell into his arms, suddenly exhausted. How was it? He asked gently. Confusing. My father really did have a heart attack, and he seemed genuinely sorry. Do you trust him? Not yet. Maybe not ever completely. But something has changed. They sat on the porch swing, Lillian's head on Noah's shoulder, as she recounted the visit. When she finished, Noah was thoughtful. So, where does this leave us? Exactly where we were, planning our future together, just with less looking over our shoulders. And if they're sincere, if they really want to make amends, Lillian sighed. Then we take it one day at a time. Trust has to be earned. That night, As they prepared for bed, Lillian's phone rang. It was Eleanor. "Lillian, I hate to call so late, but there's been a development. Your father's had a setback. The doctors are concerned. How serious is it? They're not sure yet, but he's asking for you. And for Noah." Lillian covered the phone. "My father's worse. He wants to see both of us." Noah frowned. "Both of us? What?" "I don't know." To her mother, she said, "We'll think about it and call you in the morning." After hanging up, they discussed the situation. "It could be genuine," Lillian said, "or it could be another trap. There's one way to find out." Noah took her hands. "We go together. If they try anything, we leave immediately." "Are you sure? After everything they've done to you?" "I'm sure about us. Whatever happens, we face it together." The next morning, they drove to Savannah. Noah was tense as they approached the city limits, memories of his arrests still fresh. At the hospital, they found Richard in intensive care with tubes and monitors surrounding him. Eleanor sat beside him, looking genuinely distraught. When she saw them, relief washed over her face. "You came, both of you." Richard opened his eyes. When he saw Noah, he tried to speak but couldn't. The nurse adjusted his oxygen mask. "He can hear you," she told them, "but talking is difficult right now." Noah approached the bed cautiously. "Mr. Barrington." Richard raised a shaking hand. Noah, after a moment's hesitation, took it. "I think he wants to apologize," Eleanor said softly. "He told me this morning that he needed to make things right with both of you." Lillian moved to Noah's side, slipping her arm around his waist. "We're here, Dad." Together. Richard's eyes filled with tears. He squeezed Noah's hand weakly, then reached for Lillian's. For a moment, the four of them were connected. Richard holding Lillian's hand, Lillian holding Noah's, Noah holding Richard's. A circle of tentative forgiveness. The doctor arrived then, asking to speak with Eleanor in the hallway. When she returned, her face was pale. "They want to do emergency surgery. There's a blockage they missed before. Is it dangerous?" Lillian asked. "Very, given his condition." Eleanor's composure slipped. "They're saying he might not survive." Despite everything, Lillian felt a surge of fear. This was her father, the man who had read her bedtime stories when she was small, who had taught her to ride a bike, who had cried at her college graduation. "When is the surgery?" "They're preparing now. We only have a few minutes." Lillian turned to her father. "Dad, listen to me. You're going to be fine. But I need you to know that I forgive you. And when you're better, we'll work on rebuilding our relationship." "Okay." Richard nodded, tears streaming down his face. As they wheeled him away to surgery, Eleanor surprised everyone by hugging Lillian tightly. "Thank you for coming, both of you." They settled in the waiting room for what the doctor warned would be a long surgery. Noah went to find coffee, leaving Lillian alone with her mother. "He seems like a good man," Eleanor said unexpectedly. Lillian looked up, startled. "He is. Your father and I were wrong about him. About a lot of things." "Yes, you were." Eleanor smoothed her skirt, a nervous gesture Lillian had rarely seen. "We were so focused on what we thought was best for you that we couldn't see what actually made you happy." "Which was Noah." "Yes." Eleanor met her daughter's gaze. "I can't undo the pain we caused, but I'd like a chance to get to know the man you love. The man you chose." Before Lillian could respond, Noah returned with the coffee. The conversation shifted to Richard's condition and the surgery. Hours passed. Lillian and Noah dozed in uncomfortable waiting room chairs. Eleanor paced, checking with the nurses every 30 minutes. Finally, around midnight, the surgeon appeared, still in his scrubs. "Mrs. Barrington?" "The surgery was successful. We were able to clear the blockage." Eleanor sagged with relief. "So, he'll be all right. He's stable, but not out of danger." The next 24 hours are critical. They were allowed to see Richard briefly in recovery. He was unconscious, his face partially obscured by an oxygen mask. Seeing him so vulnerable made Lillian realize that despite everything, she still loved her father. When visiting hours ended, Eleanor insisted they stay at the Barrington estate. "It's late, and the drive back to Charleston is long. Please, just for tonight." Lillian looked at Noah, who nodded slightly. "All right, just tonight." At the mansion, the staff had prepared rooms for them, separate rooms, Lillian noted with a mixture of amusement and annoyance. I had Martha put you in your old room, Eleanor told Lillian, and Noah in the guest suite down the hall. Mother, Noah, and I live together. We share a bed. Eleanor flushed. Of course. I just thought. Propriety. We'll take my old room. Together. In Lillian's childhood bedroom, Noah looked around at the remnants of her past. Riding trophies, debutante photos, the expensive dollhouse her father had imported from Germany. So this is where Lillian Barrington grew up. Yes. Privileged and sheltered. And lonely? She nodded. Very. Noah pulled her close. Are you okay being back here? As long as you're with me. They fell asleep in each other's arms, exhausted from the emotional day. In the middle of the night, Lillian woke to a soft knock at the door. It was Martha. Miss Lillian, the hospital called. Your father is awake and asking for you. They dressed quickly and found Eleanor waiting in the foyer, car keys in hand. I'll drive, she said. At the hospital, Richard was indeed awake, though weak. When Lillian and Noah entered his room, he smiled. You stayed, he whispered. We stayed, Lillian confirmed. Richard beckoned Noah closer. Need to tell you something. Noah leaned down. Sir, take care of my little girl. Noah's expression softened. I will. Always. And forgive an old fool who couldn't see what was right in front of him. I forgive you, Noah said, surprising himself with the truth of it. Richard turned to Lillian. The trust fund. It's yours. No more challenges. Thank you, Dad. And the estate in Charleston. Wedding present. Lillian looked confused. What estate in Charleston? Eleanor explained. Your father bought a property there years ago as an investment. It's been sitting empty. It's yours now, Richard said. Start your life together. Lillian was speechless. This was more than an apology. It was acceptance. The doctor arrived to check on Richard, asking them to step outside. In the hallway, Eleanor handed Lillian a set of keys. The Charleston property. It's about 10 acres with a main house and gardens that could use a talented landscape architect. She glanced at Noah. It's not exactly starting from nothing, but it would be yours. No strings attached. Noah and Lillian exchanged looks. It was tempting, very tempting. But could they trust this sudden generosity? We need time to think about it, Lillian said. Eleanor nodded. Of course. The offer stands, whatever you decide. Back in Richard's room, the doctor delivered good news. He's recovering well, better than expected. As morning approached, Lillian and Noah prepared to return to Charleston. They had jobs to apply for, a future to plan. Will you come back? Eleanor asked as they said goodbye. To visit, Lillian looked at Noah, who nodded. Yes, we'll come back. On the drive home, they discussed the surprising turn of events. Do you believe them? Noah asked. About changing, accepting us? I think my father's brush with death scared them both. And seeing us together, seeing that we're serious about each other, it made an impression. What about the Charleston property? Lillian sighed. Part of me wants to say no on principle, but it would give us such a good start. We should at least look at it, Noah suggested. No commitment. When they reached Charleston, they found Sophia waiting with news of her own. James called. The final paperwork came through dismissing all charges against Noah. You're officially free and clear. They celebrated with cheap champagne and takeout pizza. As they toasted their future, Lillian's phone rang. It was Eleanor again. I know you just got back, but I thought you should know. Your father's being moved out of intensive care. He's going to be fine. That's wonderful news. There's something else. Clayton came to the hospital. Lillian tensed. What? To threaten us, basically. He said we'd regret siding with you and Noah over him. That his family would withdraw support from your father's business. I'm sorry. I know how important those connections are to you. Not anymore, Eleanor said firmly. Some things are more important than business or social standing. Like my daughter's happiness. After hanging up, Lillian relayed the conversation to Noah and Sophia. Do you believe her? Sophia asked skeptically. I'm starting to, but Clayton's threat worries me. He doesn't give up easily. Noah pulled her close. Whatever he tries, we'll handle it. Together. The next day, they drove to see the Charleston property. It was even more impressive than Eleanor had described. A historic home set on lush grounds with old gardens that had once been magnificent, but had fallen into disrepair. It's perfect, Noah breathed. already envisioning how he could restore the gardens. Lillian watched him, her heart full. We could be happy here. We could be happy anywhere, as long as we're together. As they walked the grounds, planning and dreaming, Lillian's phone rang again. Unknown number. Hello. Enjoy it while you can. Clayton's voice was cold. This isn't over, Lillian. Not by a long shot. Before she could respond, he hung up. Noah saw her expression change. What is it? Clayton. He threatened me. Noah's jaw tightened. What did he say? She repeated his words, trying to sound calmer than she felt. It's just empty threats. He can't hurt us anymore. But as they returned to the main house, Lillian couldn't shake the feeling that Clayton wasn't finished with them yet. That this moment of peace was just the calm before another storm. And she was right. Because while they were exploring their potential new home, Clayton Aldridge was meeting with someone who hated Noah Chambers almost as much as he did. Noah's ex-business partner, Marcus Stevens. The same Marcus who had been letting them stay in his guest house. The same Marcus who knew every detail of their plans. Are we agreed then? Clayton asked, sliding an envelope across the table. Marcus counted the money inside. Agreed. I'll make sure they never find happiness together. Good. Clayton smiled coldly. Because I always win in the end. The Charleston property felt like a dream. A beautiful old house surrounded by gardens that, though neglected, still showed hints of their former glory. As Lillian and Noah walked the grounds hand in hand, it was easy to imagine their future there. We could restore these rose beds, Noah said, pointing to an overgrown area near the main house. And that gazebo would be perfect for small weddings. Lillian smiled. Are you thinking of starting a wedding venue business? Maybe, or just a place where we could get married. He squeezed her hand. If you still want to, that is. More than ever. They spent hours exploring, making plans, dreaming. Despite Clayton's threatening call, Lillian felt hope blooming. Maybe they really could start fresh here, away from the worst of the Savannah gossip, but close enough to rebuild relationships with her parents. As evening approached, they reluctantly headed back to Marcus's guest house. Lillian couldn't stop talking about the property. The gardens alone would keep you busy for a year, and the house needs work, but it has such potential. Noah nodded, though his expression had grown thoughtful. It's generous of your parents. Maybe too generous. You still don't trust them? I want to, but after everything that's happened. I know, but my father nearly died, Noah. That changes people. When they arrived at the guest house, Marcus's car was in the driveway. He greeted them warmly, asking about their day. We saw the Charleston property my parents are offering us, Lillian told him. It's amazing. Really? That's wonderful news. Marcus's smile didn't quite reach his eyes. So you're considering accepting it? We're thinking about it, Noah said cautiously. Well, I think you should. A fresh start is exactly what you two need. That night, as Lillian slept, Noah lay awake, his mind troubled. Something about Marcus's reaction felt off. The man had been a good friend, offering them shelter when they needed it most. But lately, his behavior had subtly changed. Questions about their plans, remarks about how they deserved better than their current situation. The next morning, Sophia called with news. Guess who's been meeting with Clayton Aldridge? Marcus. Noah felt his blood run cold. How do you know? A friend saw them at a restaurant in Savannah yesterday. They looked pretty cozy. Are you sure it was Marcus? Positive. My friend even took a photo. Noah thanked her and hung up, his mind racing. Why would Marcus be meeting with Clayton? It couldn't be innocent. Not after everything Clayton had done to them. When Lillian woke, Noah shared Sophia's information. That can't be right, Lillian said, shaking her head. Marcus has been helping us. Or pretending to. Think about it. He's had access to all our plans, our conversations. He even encouraged us to accept your parents' property. But why would he work with Clayton? Before Noah could answer, they heard Marcus's car start in the driveway. Through the window, they watched him drive away. I'm going to look around, Noah decided. Something's not right. They searched the main house, feeling guilty about invading Marcus's privacy, but driven by growing suspicion. In his home office, they found nothing unusual until Lillian noticed a folder tucked behind some books. Inside were photographs of them, leaving the guest house, meeting with James, visiting the hospital. Someone had been following them for weeks. He's been spying on us, Lillian whispered. Deeper in the drawer, they found something worse. A contract between Marcus Stevens and Clayton Aldridge. The language was vague, but the intent was clear. Marcus would provide information on Noah and Lillian's activities and help discourage their relationship. In exchange, Clayton would invest in Marcus's failing architecture firm and use his political connections to secure government contracts. "I can't believe it," Noah said, his face pale. "I trusted him. He was my friend." Lillian touched a hand to her mouth. "The job interview that led to your second arrest. Marcus arranged it, didn't he?" "Probably. And he knew exactly when I'd be there." They continued searching and found a burner phone. The call history showed frequent contact with Clayton and, more disturbing, with the prosecutor who had pursued charges against Noah. "We need to leave," Noah said urgently. "Now." They packed quickly, taking only what they could carry. As they loaded Noah's truck, Marcus's car turned into the driveway. "Too late," Lillian whispered. Marcus got out, his expression shifting from surprise to calculation when he saw their bags. "Going somewhere?" "We know." "Marcus," Noah said flatly. "We found the contract, the photos, the phone." For a moment, Marcus looked like he might deny it. Then his face hardened. "So what? Clayton pays well. He paid you to betray your friend." "Friend?" Marcus laughed bitterly. "You were never my friend, Noah. You were the competition who always got the jobs I deserved." "What are you talking about?" 3 years ago, the Westbrook estate. They chose your designs over mine, and it launched your company while mine struggled. Then the Hendersons, the Jacksons, client after client chose you. Noah shook his head. "That's business, Marcus. I never tried to take anything from you. It doesn't matter now. Clayton's investment saved my firm. All I had to do was help him separate you two." He looked at Lillian. "He still wants you back, you know. Says you just need time to come to your senses." "I'm exactly where I want to be," Lillian said firmly. Marcus shrugged. "We'll see about that. Clayton's on his way here now." Noah stepped in front of Lillian. "We're leaving. I can't let you do that." Marcus reached into his jacket and pulled out a gun. "Clayton wants to talk to Lillian. Alone." Lillian felt her heart hammer in her chest. "This is insane, Marcus. You can't keep us here at gunpoint. Just until Clayton arrives. Then you can sort things out with him." Noah's eyes never left the weapon. "There's nothing to sort out. Lillian chose me. The courts freed her from her parents' control. It's over. It's not over until Clayton says it's over." The standoff continued for tense minutes, Marcus keeping them covered while checking his watch repeatedly. Finally, they heard another car approaching. "That'll be him now," Marcus said, relief evident in his voice. But when the car door slammed, it wasn't Clayton who called out. It was Sophia. "Noah? Lillian? You guys ready to go?" Marcus swung the gun toward the sound. In that moment of distraction, Noah lunged forward, tackling him to the ground. The gun went flying as they struggled. Sophia ran around the corner, saw the fight, and didn't hesitate. She grabbed the gun and pointed it at Marcus. "Don't move," she ordered, "or I swear I'll shoot." Marcus froze, then slowly raised his hands. "This isn't over," he spat. "Yes, it is." Noah got to his feet, breathing hard. "We're leaving, and you're going to jail for assault and kidnapping." Sophia kept the gun trained on Marcus while Noah called the police. Lillian, shaking with adrenaline, gathered their remaining belongings. When the police arrived, they found the evidence in Marcus's office, the contract with Clayton, the surveillance photos, the burner phone. It was enough to arrest him. As they drove away with Sophia, Lillian leaned against Noah, exhausted. "I can't believe Marcus betrayed you like that. All because of professional jealousy." "And Clayton's money," Sophia added. "The police found bank transfers. Clayton paid him a lot to help destroy your relationship." "Where are we going now?" Noah asked. "My place," Sophia said, "until we figure out what to do about Clayton." But they never made it to Sophia's apartment. Halfway there, Noah spotted a black SUV following them. "We've got company." "Clayton?" Lillian turned to look. "I don't think so. That looks like your father's security team." Sure enough, the SUV pulled alongside them at the next light. The driver lowered his window and called out, "Miss Barrington, your father sent us. There's been an incident at your parents' home. He's asking for you urgently." "What kind of incident?" Lillian demanded. "I'm not at liberty to say, ma'am, but it's serious." Noah and Lillian exchanged looks. It could be another trap, he warned. Or my father could really need me. Lillian made a quick decision. We'll follow you there. The security team led them not to the Barrington estate, but to the local police station. Inside, they found Richard Barrington sitting with Eleanor and several officers. Dad, what's happened? Richard looked up, relief washing over his face. Lillian, thank God you're safe. Why wouldn't I be safe? Eleanor stepped forward. Clayton broke into our home this morning, demanding to know where you were. When we wouldn't tell him, he became violent. One of the officers nodded. Mr. Aldridge is facing charges of breaking and entering, assault, and making terrorist threats. He threatened you? Noah asked. He said he'd find you both. Richard confirmed. That no one could protect you from him. When security tried to remove him, he attacked them. He's been arrested? Yes. But given his family's connections, we're not sure how long they'll hold him. Lillian felt dizzy with the implications. So Marcus was working with Clayton all along, and they were planning to kidnap me? It appears so, the officer said. Based on evidence found at Mr. Stevens' residence and Mr. Aldridge's statements during his arrest. Noah put his arm around Lillian. You're safe now. We all need to be careful, Richard warned. The Aldridges are powerful, even more so than our family. They won't take Clayton's arrest lightly. After giving statements to the police, they regrouped outside. Richard was clearly exhausted, still recovering from his surgery. You should come back to the estate, Eleanor suggested. Both of you. It's secure, and we have round-the-clock security. Noah hesitated. I'm not sure that's a good idea. Please, Richard said. I know we've given you little reason to trust us, but we want to help. To make amends. Lillian looked to Noah, who finally nodded. All right, just until Clayton's situation is resolved. At the Barrington estate, things were different from Lillian's last stay. This time, she and Noah were given a suite together. The staff treated Noah with respect, not as an intruder. Over dinner, Richard explained more about Clayton's erratic behavior. His political career is in shambles after the media coverage of your story. The party withdrew support for his Senate campaign. His family blames him for the scandal. So he blamed us, Noah said. Yes, and us for taking your side. As if wanting our daughter's happiness was betrayal. Lillian was struck by the change in her father. Just weeks ago, he had been allied with Clayton against them. Now he spoke as if their happiness had always been his priority. Eleanor noticed her skeptical expression. I know it's hard to believe we've changed, but nearly losing your father, it forced us to reevaluate everything, including our treatment of Noah, Richard added, which was inexcusable. Noah accepted the apology with grace, though Lillian could tell he remained cautious. After dinner, they retired to their suite, finally able to process the day's events. Do you think they're sincere? Noah asked as they sat on the balcony overlooking the gardens. I think they're trying to be, Lillian replied. Whether they can maintain it when things get difficult again remains to be seen. And Clayton? Do you think he'll be held accountable? The evidence is pretty damning, but his family has a lot of influence. The next morning brought news that confirmed Lillian's concerns. Clayton had been released on bail, with conditions that included staying away from the Barringtons and from Noah and Lillian. A restraining order is just a piece of paper, Noah pointed out. It won't stop him if he's determined. Richard agreed, which is why you two should consider leaving the area for a while. Perhaps take an extended trip while this plays out in court. Run away, you mean? Lillian frowned. We've been running since the wedding day. I'm tired of it. Not running, Eleanor clarified. Strategic retreat. Just until Clayton faces consequences. They discussed options over breakfast. Europe was suggested, or perhaps the West Coast, somewhere Clayton couldn't easily reach them. What about the Charleston property? Noah asked. Is that offer still open? Richard nodded eagerly. Of course. It's yours whenever you want it. Then we'll go there, Lillian decided. It's far enough from Savannah for some distance, but close enough that we can return for court dates if needed. Eleanor looked worried. Clayton knows about the property. It was mentioned in some of our business dealings. Then we'll hire security, Noah said. Make sure the place is safe. 2 days later, they moved into the Charleston house. Richard arranged for a security team to patrol the grounds, and James Patterson helped them get an additional restraining order against Clayton in Charleston. For the first time since they'd fled the wedding, Lillian and Noah had space to truly build something together. Noah began work on restoring the gardens, while Lillian explored options for opening a small art gallery in the carriage house. Their peace lasted 3 weeks. The first sign of trouble came when the security cameras caught someone testing the gates late at night. The guards investigated but found no one. The next day, Noah discovered that someone had cut through the perimeter fence on the far side of the property. The security team reinforced it and added more cameras. "He's testing our defenses," Noah said grimly. Lillian called her father, who immediately offered to come to Charleston. "Stay where you are," he insisted. "We'll be there by evening." That night, Richard and Eleanor arrived with additional security personnel. The estate took on the atmosphere of a fortress, with guards patrolling and checking the grounds hourly. "This isn't how I imagined our fresh start," Lillian said as she and Noah prepared for bed. "Living under siege. It won't be forever. Clayton will make a mistake, and then he'll face real consequences." But in the middle of the night, the power to the house was cut. The security system's backup generator kicked in, but for several tense minutes, they were vulnerable. The security team swept the grounds and found evidence that someone had tampered with the electrical box. There were footprints in the soft earth nearby. More than one person. "He's not alone," the head of security reported. "We think there are at least 2 intruders." Richard called the police, who sent officers to patrol the area. But by morning, there had been no further incidents. As they gathered for breakfast, everyone was on edge. Eleanor kept glancing out the windows. Richard checked in constantly with the security team. Noah and Lillian tried to maintain calm, but the strain showed on their faces. "We can't live like this," Lillian said finally. "Always looking over our shoulders, waiting for Clayton's strike." "What do you suggest?" her father asked. Lillian took a deep breath. "I think we need to draw him out. Make him show himself." "Absolutely not," Noah protested. "It's too dangerous. More dangerous than waiting for him to attack when we least expect it. At least this way, we control the situation." Richard considered her words. She might be right. If Clayton thinks you're vulnerable, he'll make his move. And we'll be ready. They debated various plans before settling on one that seemed least risky. They would announce that Noah and Lillian were holding a small engagement party at the Charleston house, with just family and close friends in attendance. Word would be leaked that security would be minimal to accommodate the intimate gathering. "He won't be able to resist," Lillian predicted. "It's everything he wants. Me, relatively unprotected, celebrating the relationship he's tried so hard to destroy." James Patterson helped coordinate with local law enforcement, who agreed to station plainclothes officers around the property. Richard's security team would remain, though less visibly. The trap was set. Invitations went out, and, as expected, word quickly spread through Savannah society about the event. The evening of the party, Lillian wore a simple white dress. Noah was handsome in a dark suit. They greeted the few genuine guests, Sophia, James, and a couple of Noah's friends from Charleston, while officers posing as catering staff circulated with drinks and appetizers. Richard and Eleanor played their parts perfectly, beaming like proud parents as Noah and Lillian announced their wedding date. 3 months from today, Lillian told a small gathering. A simple ceremony right here in the gardens. As the evening progressed, there was no sign of Clayton. The security team reported nothing unusual on the perimeter. "Maybe he saw through our plan," Noah suggested around midnight as the last guests were leaving. But Lillian shook her head. "He's here. I can feel it." Everyone maintained the pretense of departing. The catering vans drove away, only to park down the road. The guests left, and lights throughout the house were dimmed as if Noah and Lillian were retiring for the night. Richard and Eleanor, who were supposedly staying in a hotel in the city, actually remained in a back bedroom with 2 security guards. The rest of the team positioned themselves around the property, hidden but alert. For 2 hours, nothing happened. Noah and Lillian sat in the darkened living room, waiting, the initial adrenaline fading to weary vigilance. Then a soft beep from a security tablet. Motion detected on the east side of the property. Noah checked the feed. 2 figures were moving toward the house. using the shrubbery for cover. "They're here," he whispered, alerting the security team through the radio. Lillian squeezed his hand. "Remember the plan. We wait until they're inside." The intruders disabled the lock on a side door with surprising skill. The security team, following instructions, allowed them to enter, tracking their movements through the house. "They're heading for the master bedroom," the security chief reported quietly over the radio. Noah and Lillian moved silently to the kitchen, where they would be safely out of the way when the security team moved in. But as they passed through the dining room, a figure stepped out of the shadows. "Clayton." "Hello, Lillian," he said softly. "You didn't really think I'd come in through the door, did you?" Noah pushed Lillian behind him. "How did you get in?" "I've been here for hours, since before your little party started." He smiled coldly. The catering van was quite comfortable. Lillian reached for the radio in her pocket, but Clayton was faster. He grabbed her arm, twisting until she cried out in pain. "Let her go." Noah lunged forward. Clayton pulled out a gun. "Stay back, Gardner. This doesn't concern you." "Noah," Lillian pleaded. "Don't." "Smart girl," Clayton said. "Now, we're going to walk out of here. Just you and me, Lillian. We have a lot to discuss." "I'm not going anywhere with you." Clayton's grip tightened. "You don't have a choice. Your security team is busy with my associates on the other side of the house. By the time they realize what's happening, we'll be gone." "And then what?" Lillian demanded. "You kidnap me? Force me to marry you? How do you see this ending, Clayton? With you understanding your place. With things back as they should be." Noah took a step forward, his eyes never leaving the gun. "Let her go, Clayton. It's over. It's not over until I say it's over." "Clayton Aldridge." A new voice rang out. Richard Barrington stood in the doorway, a shotgun in his hands. "Take your hands off my daughter." Clayton's face contorted with rage. "You, the great Richard Barrington, choosing a gardener over me. I'm choosing my daughter's happiness over your ego." Clayton jerked Lillian closer, pressing the gun to her temple. "Stay back, or I'll shoot her." Richard's hands were steady on the shotgun. "No, you won't, because you want her alive. But I will absolutely shoot you if you don't release her right now." For a tense moment, no one moved. Then, slowly, Clayton's grip on Lillian loosened. Noah immediately pulled her away from him and behind Richard. "You've lost, Clayton," Richard said calmly. "The police are already on their way. Your accomplices have been apprehended. It's over." Clayton's shoulders slumped. Then, in a sudden movement, he raised his gun toward Noah. The shotgun blast was deafening in the enclosed space. Clayton crumpled to the floor, clutching his shoulder, his weapon skittering across the hardwood. Security personnel flooded the room, restraining Clayton despite his howls of pain. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Lillian was shaking uncontrollably. Noah held her close, his own hands trembling. "Are you hurt?" he asked urgently. No, Imukai." She looked at her father, who was calmly handing the shotgun to a security guard. "Dad." Richard came to her, his face pale but composed. "It's all right now. He can't hurt you anymore." The next few hours passed in a blur of police statements and medical examinations. Clayton was taken to the hospital under police guard, his wounds serious but not life-threatening. His accomplices, 2 men hired specifically for this job, were booked on multiple charges. By dawn, the house was finally quiet again. Lillian sat with Noah on the porch swing, watching the sun rise over the gardens. "It's really over," she said softly. "Yes, Clayton will go to prison for this. Between the breaking and entering, the assault, the kidnapping attempt, he won't see freedom for a long time." Lillian leaned against Noah's shoulder. "I can't believe my father shot him." "I can. He was protecting his daughter." Noah kissed the top of her head. "I would have done the same." Inside the house, Eleanor was making coffee while Richard spoke with the remaining security personnel. The night had changed things between them all, cementing the tentative bonds of reconciliation with the unbreakable glue of shared danger and protection. In the weeks that followed, Clayton's case moved quickly through the legal system. Despite his family's influence, the evidence was overwhelming. He accepted a plea deal that would keep him in prison for at least 10 years. Marcus received a lesser sentence for his role in the conspiracy, but his reputation was destroyed. No architecture firm would hire him after the scandal. With the immediate danger past, Noah and Lillian could finally focus on their future. The Charleston property became their home and the base for their new businesses. Noah started a landscape design company specializing in historic garden restoration. Lillian opened her art gallery in the renovated carriage house, featuring local artists alongside her own work. Richard and Eleanor became regular visitors, gradually rebuilding their relationship with their daughter. It wasn't always easy. Old habits and expectations sometimes surfaced, but the effort on both sides was genuine. 3 months after Clayton's arrest, just as they had announced at their engagement party, Noah and Lillian were married in the restored gardens of their Charleston home. It was everything Lillian's cathedral wedding wasn't: intimate, personal, and filled with genuine joy. Sophia served as maid of honor. James Patterson stood as Noah's best man. Richard walked his daughter down the aisle with tears in his eyes, and Eleanor, against all expectations, had helped plan the simple but elegant reception. As they exchanged vows under the arbor Noah had restored with his own hands, Lillian felt a sense of completion. The journey had been harder than she could have imagined on that day. She fled the cathedral, but every step had led her exactly where she was meant to be. At the reception, Richard raised his glass in a toast. To Noah and Lillian, may your love continue to overcome every obstacle. Later, as they danced under the stars, Noah held Lillian close. Happy, more than I ever thought possible. She looked up at him. Do you ever think about how close we came to losing each other? All those times. I try not to. What matters is that we're here now. Together. Forever, she promised. Forever, he agreed. As the evening wound down, Lillian found herself standing with her mother near the rose garden. It's beautiful, Eleanor said, gesturing to the flowers. Noah has a gift. Yes, he does. Eleanor hesitated. I know I wasn't supportive of your relationship. I was wrong, and I'm sorry. You've apologized before, Mother. I know, but I wanted to say it again, today of all days. She touched Lillian's arm. I'm proud of you, Lillian, for knowing your own heart, for fighting for what you wanted. I wish I'd had your courage at your age. Lillian studied her mother's face, seeing something there she'd never noticed before: regret. Were you unhappy? With Dad? Eleanor looked away. We had the marriage that was expected of us, not the one we would have chosen. And now, we're learning to choose each other. Every day. She smiled slightly. Your love story inspired us more than you know. As the last guest departed, Lillian and Noah stood on the porch of their home, watching the cars drive away. So, Noah said, Mrs. Chambers, what shall we do now? Lillian smiled. Whatever we want. That's the beauty of it. 3 years later, Lillian stood in the nursery of their Charleston home, rocking their newborn daughter. The room was painted in soft yellows and greens, with a mural of garden flowers that Noah had painstakingly created himself. Eleanor sat nearby, watching her granddaughter with undisguised adoration. She has your eyes, Lillian. And Noah's smile, I think. Have you decided on a name? Lillian nodded. Rose. Rose Eleanor Chambers. Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. You're naming her after me? After both of us, in a way. I was Lillian Rose on my birth certificate, though no one ever used my middle name. It's perfect, Eleanor said softly. Downstairs, Noah and Richard were discussing plans for expanding the garden business to include a small nursery. Their relationship had evolved into one of mutual respect, with Richard often seeking Noah's advice on business matters. The sound of their voices drifted up to the nursery. Noah's enthusiasm, Richard's thoughtful responses. Lillian smiled at how natural it all felt now. 3 years ago, she had run from a cathedral in her wedding dress, desperate to escape a life that wasn't hers. Now, she had everything she never knew she wanted: a husband who loved her for herself, a beautiful daughter, a thriving business, and even a reconciled relationship with her parents. As she placed the sleeping baby in her crib, Lillian thought about the vows she had almost spoken in that cathedral and the ones she had willingly exchanged with Noah in their garden. The difference wasn't in the words themselves, but in the truth behind them. Those were the vows she meant, the ones that came from her heart, not from obligation or expectation, the ones that had built this life, Imperfect, sometimes challenging, but always real. And that made all the difference. The end.